It's been about a week since the last step that I videoed. Um, that happened because I discovered I was short a lot of the fasteners that needed to do this particular step. In fact, I was missing about 90% of the fasteners out of the kit. That's entirely on me because I simply did not check well enough when I got the kit like 2.5, 3 months ago. So I had to order a whole new set of fasteners using the fastener list that is included in the calculator on the 3 Design website. So that got handled. I've got all my taps done. So we're ready to go with that, with the assembly. I did want to bring something up that someone pointed out to me. You saw me drilling the holes through these X supports, excuse me, straight through, okay? It was pointed out to me that there could be a little bit of bit deflection when doing that. Well, they were correct. So thanks, Mitch. You nailed it. I need to point out that the instructions for the X-axis frame prep in the wiki do in fact tell you to flip the steel over and drill holes on the opposite face. I was in a hurry and I missed that portion of the instructions. I've since edited that step in the wiki in order to make it harder to miss. The screw is only supposed to be 12 millimeters long, not 16. It's a mistake in the wiki and it probably has been corrected already. So what I'm going to start doing is putting this thing together, and I think I'll just speed it up or clip it out or something. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, should remember, the tools you're going to need for this is a 5 millimeter Allen wrench and a pair of small needle nose pliers. These are great for holding these bolts like so when you're going inside this steel box beam, okay? Because it's really hard to see. And if you get yourself a little flashlight, like so, that helps too. So let the struggle begin. Okay. And I've got tape marks on these because of the checking I was doing earlier. You also want to make sure that you clean all of the swarf out of the holes from when you've tapped and drilled these things. Otherwise, you're not going to be a happy person, because that swarf can get caught up in the threads and cause you all kinds of problems. Okay. And I am not tightening these at all right now. I'm just getting them started and running them about halfway down. Because this assembly is going to be pulled apart later, we don't want to tighten everything down anyway. Now this one is kind of a special case. It should have 4 screws on both ends, but because I made a really, really bad drill location mistake, I can only fit 2 of the 4 screws in here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's not good, mind you, but it's not fatal because this is a centerpiece and it's not required for squaring the whole thing. It's just basically a support. Okay, now I'm going to do the other end, and because I'm going to have my back to the camera for pretty much the whole time, we're going to end this portion of the video there because, well, you guys don't need to look at the back of my head for 10 minutes. So I will be back. So I got to thinking about it, and pinning that end is not necessarily a bad idea. And the reason I say that is because since I know for a fact I've got a good 90-degree angle here, and I verified that I can square this frame fairly easily. For those that don't know how it's done or how it's verified, you square a frame by measuring diagonally both ways and making minor adjustments until you get the same dimension both ways. When you do, you're square. And I'm thinking that if I go ahead and measure the other face of this and put it the distance put it the same distance from the edge of the table here. That should get me pretty close to square, and I'd only need to make some tiny adjustments. But I need to get a percussive adjustment tool for that. So let me do that real quick. I have my percussive adjustment tool here. And what I'm going to do is check. So I've got just about 200 millimeters there. And a little less than 200 millimeters here. So we'll bump this a little bit. And check again over here. Oh, it pivoted. It pivoted a bit. So let's split the difference. Okay. So let's see what we get. Go here. We've got about 1,582 millimeters that way. Oh, come on, just grab that corner. And 1,582 millimeters that way. So I'm going to double check that just to make sure. You want to grab right on the edge of that. Keep the tape as centered as you can. Yep, 1582. So now I'm going to start tightening things down and keep checking as I tighten, because you don't want to accidentally mess up all your good work here. So we'll start off at our corners. And we'll tighten up one side here. And you don't want to over tighten these because you don't want to risk stripping them. All this goes back together. We're going to have to use thread locker because we want to make sure that it stays put. I mean, if you really wanted to, 1582, you could go ahead and weld your frame, or put a little weld on there, right in here, But then you risk 1582. Then you risk warping your steel. At least that's my understanding, and that's to be avoided at all costs. And I'm probably going to overcheck this because I'm paranoid, but I would rather check too much and catch it than not catch it at all, or catch it at a point where I've got to redo a whole bunch of work. We're good there. So now, I should also note that if you're putting this together and these pieces, these three pieces, are not exactly the same length, you want the ones that are as close to or at the same length on the outside, and leave your outlier in the middle. And I think that's mentioned in the build instructions as well for this. And the wiki. Tighten it just a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's check it again. $15.82. And $15.82. My lighting is very inconsistent in here, primarily because it's a workshop, but I'm trying to make it better slowly but surely. because I hate dark, poorly filmed video just as much as the rest of you folks do, I suspect. If there's a detail that you'd like to see that I haven't concentrated on, please let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to go back and show a step in more detail, if you like. I think that's, yep, that was tight. That was tight. Okay. So, let me go back and check it again. 1582. And 1582. Woohoo! It's good to be square. It's even hip to be square, right? Come for the weird projects, stay for the bad dad jokes, right? And this is the end where I've only got 2 screws because I messed up the thing, the hole drilling. But it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, one last check before I call this complete. $15.82. The tape that I use is made by Fast Cap, and this is a righty-lefty tape, and 1582. And by righty-lefty tape, I mean no matter how you use the tape, it's easy to, the numbers are facing up to read. So I don't know if you can see that. Focus. Come on. Come on. Come on, you little monster. Focus. You can do it. Focus. Come on. Really? You can't do it? You stupid piece of technology. Well, I don't know. I'm looking at my monitor over here because I can tell whether or not it's focusing or not. Anyway, it's a good tape to use. They make some really good metric tapes. Okay, so let's put our screws away and our tools away and see if we can't flip this thing over and get it ready to do the next task. And you really kind of get a sense of how large the machine is going to be finally when you've got this frame put together like this, because it's really kind of a wow moment. And I'm going to take some of my tape off. These are little notes to myself as I was correcting things in the hole sizes and stuff like that. But when you're doing identification of these things, like the supports, you're going to want to put a tag on the inside where it's not going to get lost. Okay, so this is really going to scratch the hell out of my table, I think. I'm going to take this opportunity to clean up a little bit. Ow. That almost ended very poorly. Slide you this way, and a little more cleaning off the things. Okay. So here we are. This side, in fact, I'm just going to rotate this thing around a bit. Now that that part is completed. So, there we go. This side over here is where the E-chain is going to be. And then, of course, there's going to be a wall here where the enclosure is. But this is turning out very nicely.